Good morning, everyone. What a great start to the final card, the final event of 2022. We have UFC Vegas 66, my friends. Mike's MMA Picks here with your Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show brought to you by BetDSI as well as MMAOddsbreaker. We've got Jared Cannonier taking on none other than Sean Strickland in a middleweight scrap. No belt on the line, but should be an exciting fight nonetheless. Let's get things kicked off. First fight of the night, we have Sergey Morozov taking on Journey Newson. Journey Newson coming in as a plus 245 underdog. Newson, explosive fighter. Getting a bit up there in age. He's the older fighter here, taking on Morozov, who Morozov has faced some adversity inside of the octagon. We saw against Douglas Silva de Andrade, really ran into a bit of a buzzsaw late in the fight, looked to be dominating early. That was a rough one. I was on the Morozov side in that bout. Morozov here has the tools on the feet and the mat. I would love to see him utilize his wrestling here. A concern of mine is seeing Khalid Taha and Morozov trade in the pocket for extended periods of time. And I know Morozov walked away with the victory in that spot, but that was a sweaty affair. They were throwing some heavy punches, and Morozov, I have a little bit of concern of his in regards to his durability here. Journey Newson, Fernie Garcia, the victory there, not very impressive, barely skated by in that one. This is a puncher's chance for Newson. I know he has some jiu-jitsu up his sleeve, but I don't think that's going to be in play here against Morozov. I hope, and I would like to see Morozov utilize his grappling early and win this fight. I am hesitant to play minus 315 on Morozov here. I'll be picking Morozov to win. I think whoever wins this fight should do so very handily here. I'll be picking Morozov in that spot. Next up, where we have David Dvorak taking on Manel Kape. Manel Kape coming as a minus 230 betting favorite. Explosive fighter, somebody who doesn't rely on volume. He relies on his power to cross the finish line. David Dvorak plus 190 at the betting window. We saw against Matthias Nicolau. I was on Nicolau last time out in that fight. The power was a bit of an issue for Dvorak. Dvorak did turn the tide late in that fight, but it just wasn't enough. And I'll be interested to see if Nicolau gets a new UFC contract. Schnell was chasing him all around the octagon, trying to cut him off, and Dvorak was doing the same thing. And it'd be interesting to see Nicolau end up being an aggressor in a fight in the near future. He seems to be the counter striker, and Dvorak here is going to be I think he will be the aggressor in this spot. Both of these fighters typically sit back and wait, not necessarily get ahead on volume. Dvorak can throw leg kicks here. Manel Kape, though, much more athletic, has significant power to speak of. I'll be picking Manel Kape here to win, and to win. You know what? It's interesting. Take a look at that knockout line. I wouldn't. I see Manel Kape as the rightful favorite, but he can be his own worst enemy. We'll talk about another fighter later on up on the card who can be his own worst enemy, but Manel Kape has the tools to win this fight. But the Dvorak line, it seems a little bit wide here. I'll be picking Manel Kape, though. Next up, wow, we have Rinat Fakhretdinov, who hasn't lost a fight since 2014, coming in as a minus 155 betting favorite, taking on Brian Battle. Brian Battle had a tough time on the scale yesterday. Even in the ceremonial weigh-ins, he was struggling You look how he reacted after he shook hands with Fakhretdinov. Fakhretdinov coming in with a massive winning streak here. Somebody who can grapple. But I wasn't impressed with Fakhretdinov's striking. And he's winging hooks out there. And although he seemed the fresher fighter against Michailidis last time out, I don't put a lot of stock into that victory. Also, Battle hasn't faced top competition. The Tresean Gore fight was something I liked. Bryan Battle is a developing he's a developing fighter. He's somebody who's not a finished product yet. He is getting better. And one thing I'll say about Battle is he does not give up on himself. Just like he doesn't give up on himself when he steps on the scale, he also doesn't give up on himself when he enters the octagon. And he has some intangibles. He's got decent cardio. He can push. He believes in himself. And he also can crack. He has some power out there. And I believe he is a trustworthy fighter. You know what you're going to get when you watch Bryan Battle fight. Although Fakhretdinov is on this massive winning streak, I'm not a big believer in his abilities and that they're going to be able to translate inside of the octagon today. I'm going to be picking Bryan Battle to win. I think the longer this fight goes, although Battle did look horrible on the scales, I think that he will find a way to tag Fakhretdinov on the feet and possibly put him away. I'll be picking Bryan Battle to win in that spot. Let's see. We've got some comments here. Chris, good morning. Pleasure to have you on board. Donnie, excellent. Great to see you. Nick, good morning. Thank you for joining on today. Nick and Rye, pleasure. Everybody else I know, unfortunately, I can't get to all these comments that are piling in here. But I thank you for the outpouring of support throughout the year. And we're heading into this is our 5th consecutive winning year here. So we are rocking and rolling, but you're only as good as your last card, despite what your track record says. That's how I see things through this lens. Always trying to improve and get better every year, just like the fighters. We are not finished products, though. It is nice to have something to look back on and show that you're a legitimate contender in this line of work. So thank you. Let's get to the next fight, my friends. Rafa Garcia taking on Maheshate. Maheshate coming in as the plus 120 underdog. Unfortunately, Maheshate missed weight. He, at only 23 years of age, appears to be growing out of this weight class. Taking on a Rafa Garcia as a minus 150 betting favorite here. Rafa Garcia has the grappling. He has, it's interesting. I heard Daniel Cormier talk about Garcia's cardio in his last fight, and he ended up faltering against Drakkar Klose. The cardio wasn't able to hold up for the solid 3 rounds that he needed. But against Maheshate here, against a fighter who missed weight, I think that Garcia has a cardio advantage here. Also, watch Maheshate's fight on the Contender Series. This is a fighter who's been stunned multiple times on the feet and has been able to right the ship to a certain extent, has big-time power, was able to land a nice counter right hand on Steve Garcia and put Garcia out of there. In this spot, I'll be picking Garcia. Not only did Maheshate miss weight, but also he's shown that there are some holes in his grappling game. And Garcia just has to avoid getting caught by one of these strikes, because Maheshate has the reach advantage. He has the power advantage. And that's what he is a striker. Born and bred, 23 years of age, somebody who's still coming into his own. And Garcia, I believe, is only 28. So it's not like Garcia is a finished product. Also, the Ronson fight, there have been others where he's shown up and really he's come out and performed really well. So I'll be picking Garcia here. Next up, wow, this could be like a people's main event here. Said Yakub Kochomanov taking on Said Nurmagomedov. Now, Said Yakub is coming in as a minus 120 betting favorite after the performance we saw against Ronnie Lawrence. Now, I picked Kochomanov in that fight, and I remember at the time, my something I tweeted out was if I talked you off of playing, if I prevented folks from playing Ronnie Lawrence, then I did my job. Now, this is an interesting spot here where we have the more accomplished striker in Said Nurmagomedov coming in. At some books, he is an underdog at this stage, which is a little bit shocking to me, but I can understand the narrative here, and also recency bias is a real thing. We've seen Umar Nurmagomedov come out and have a very competitive fight with Kochomanov. Now, that was a few years ago. We've also seen Kochomanov. We know that the pressure, the grappling, the guy's relentless. But from a striking standpoint, Nurmagomedov, maybe he won't have the opportunity to throw as many spinning kicks, which could potentially put himself in a disadvantage. Hang on. It could put Nurmagomedov in a precarious spot here. He does not want to have his back to Kochomanov. Kochomanov is a pressure fighter inside of the smaller octagon. I think this is going to be a spot where the cream is going to rise to the top here. There will be nowhere to hide. And you saw the icy face-off. Said Nurmagomedov, I believe he should be the favorite in this spot. He has a wiry frame. We spoke about Douglas Silva de Andrade earlier and how he was able to work through Morozov. In this spot, I do not believe Kochomanov's striking ability and defensive tendencies on the feet are up to snuff here. Also, Nurmagomedov is battle tested. We talked about Kochomanov facing Umar and how that was a path to legitimacy in this sport. I believe the jury is still out on Kochomanov. I got to be honest. I'll be picking Said Nurmagomedov. I think that he's going to get ahead in the striking early, and that it's going to be difficult for Kochomanov to maintain a dominant position on Nurmagomedov, who has a noodly frame, who has the kicking ability. Now, the kicks, the rangefinders, it'll be interesting to see how effective those are, because he did have some sustained success against Raoni Barcelos. I'll be picking Nurmagomedov to win. I think that at an underdog price here, Said Nurmagomedov's the play. I think that the win by Kochomanov over Ronnie Lawrence has sent a lot of folks to the betting window, and that this line is not accurate. Next up, Jake Matthews taking on Matt Semelsberger. Semelsberger coming in as a plus 235 underdog. This is a former football player who's coming into the octagon here against a younger fighter who has much more experience. Jake Matthews, minus 305 at the betting window for Matthews. Matthews, if he wants to stay at range and get into a striking battle with Semelsberger, then I believe this will be a competitive fight. But if he mixes up the wrestling and brings the fight to Semelsberger, then this should look like the line that you currently see. So Semelsberger is a very sturdy fighter. He's tough as nails, gave Morono a good fight, but he's predictable. And the Chaos Williams bout, we saw he was able to get through that fight relatively unscathed, was in a firefight at times with a very powerful striker. So I believe that if Matthews makes a few mistakes out there, overextends on a punch, ends up getting countered by Semelsberger, if he wants to play around on the feet, I don't recommend it. That's giving Semelsberger a shot here. A couple of other things. We've seen, I know Semelsberger does not have any remotely close ground game to that of Anthony Rocco Martin. These are names here. What the hell happened to Anthony Rocco Martin, by the way? Remember when he changed his name to Rocco? That was an interesting phase. And then also Johnny Case. You folks remember Johnny Case? Remember that Jake Matthews fight a long, long time ago? And Johnny Case, I believe, ended up in Ryzen. He was a fighter who had some potential. But Jake Matthews still going. 28 years of age. He's going to be my pick here. Next up, we have Cheyenne Vlismus taking on Corey McKenna. Interesting bout here where we saw Vlismus. Both of these fighters have warts, significant warts that they still have to work their way back from. I typically stay away from low-level women's mixed martial arts fights, at least investing my money in them. And this is another case where I've sat on the sidelines here, primarily because both fighters have shown us that they're capable of fighting horrific game plans. And also being like for Vlismus, her performance against Montserrat Ruiz was something that should not happen at this level. She was getting head and arm thrown to the ground and getting stuck for significant amounts of time with the same technique over and over again, inability to make adjustments. Now, I'm sure that's been addressed. Multiple camps have elapsed between then and now. Corey McKenna, on the other hand, the Elise Reed fight. Now, Corey McKenna has a solid corner advising her, the Team Alpha Male corner. So for her to stand up in that fight and try to trust her hands really threw me off. I was shocked by that. Now, it just goes to show you, though, this women's mixed martial arts, from fight to fight, there is development, and I'm torn here. Vlismus has McKenna beat in the striking realm by a wide margin. McKenna possesses some of the shortest reaches, one of the shortest reaches, if not the shortest reach in all of the UFC. Vlismus has a tenacity, a gas tank, and she just seems like a mean, athletic person. And unfortunately, at this level in women's mixed martial arts, sometimes that can be enough. The grunting, we're talking about like fighters like Caitlin Chukagian, etc. They're able to skate by and get victories based on sometimes air punches and grunting, and you don't see that happen in men's mixed martial arts. So in this spot, I don't want to waste too much time on this fight, but I'll be picking Vlismus, and I am not making a play on this fight. I see that McKenna has the wrestling upside, and she's a proven grappler, but a proven grappler who has shown she can move away from the game plan that's potentially earning her a victory. So give me Vlismus here. And I do not have much conviction in Vlismus, but I believe she does get this done. Let's see. We've got a comment here. Oh, wow. Look at this. Look at this. Raising the bar as far as the level of focus goes. Excellent. You know what they say, my brother, eyes on the prize, one fight at a time, right? So let's continue this journey. Let's see what we got as far as the next fight of the night. Cody Brundage taking on Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Oleksiejczuk coming in as a minus 300 betting favorite. And it's interesting here because this is one of the most binary matchups you could speak of. Taking on Cody Brundage, who I know he was able to take Treshawn Gore out of there on the feet last time out. But there's a big discrepancy in skill set here as far as grappling goes and striking. Oleksiejczuk he's got hands, he's got a killer instinct, and once he starts to empty his clip, there's no turning back. So that's one thing that leads me to believe that this fight is not going to end inside, or will end inside the distance. I don't think this is going to see the scorecards. And Oleksiejczuk has shown that his kryptonite is the ground game. So Brundage, that's where his strength lies. So Brundage could potentially lock up a submission here. Oleksiejczuk, I know he dropped down now to 185 pounds. I am not going out of my way to play Oleksiejczuk at minus 300. I think the better play would be Oleksiejczuk by knockout. You could look at the under 1.5. You could look at the under 2.5. The fight doesn't go the distance. Line is a little bit too wide in my eyes, but there are other ways to play this fight. And I like the under 2.5. And I like Oleksiejczuk by knockout. Brundage could potentially spoil this party, though, by grounding Oleksiejczuk and hunting for a submission. So give me Oleksiejczuk to win this bout. Next up, wow. We've got Bobby Green coming off of his USADA suspension. By the way, 11 out of 13 fights here tonight are lined, currently favored to end and go to the scorecards. 11 to 13 fights. That is something that we do not often see. So Bobby Green taking on Drew Dober. Drew Dober coming in as a minus 155 betting favorite. Somebody who is massive for the division. Somebody who is willing to take one to give one. Bobby Green, slick head movement. Has great cardio. Talks a good game. Plus 125 at the betting window for Bobby Green. Drew Dober, his path to victory here is going to the body. I believe that he is going to have to land kicks to Green's body. He can't get caught up in trying to headhunt. That's where Green shines. Green's head movement is his greatest strength as far as I'm concerned. And Drew Dober's got a kick to the body and also hunt the body with body strikes as well, with punches. Now, he's going to have to set himself up and put himself in a good position to land these. Bobby Green does not have great footwork, though. So I suspect we'll see Drew Dober try to chop the leg of Bobby Green. Bobby Green, the upper half of his torso is where he really excels. Look out for Bobby Green's boxing and looking to just talk throughout the entirety of this fight. It should be and could be a closer affair if Dober does not go to the body here. I'll be picking Drew Dober to win, and this is an interesting bout though, because Bobby Green is always live, and we've seen Dober against McKenna and others that he can get clipped and can get hurt. Brad Riddell, I believe, put him in some tough spots as well. Let's see. Yeah, Green versus Dober is a solid fight. You know what? Inside of the Apex, you're going to hear the sound of the strikes landing, and keep an eye out for Dober's kicks landing to the body of Bobby Green. I have a feeling the decibel level will be high when that happens. Next up, We have a great fight on our hands here. Alex Caceres and Julian Erosa, Juicy J. Erosa coming in as a minus 165 betting favorite, taking on Caceres, who could be had for plus 135. Caceres, grizzly veteran. I believe this is his 26th or 27th UFC fight. He's the older fighter here. I believe he's has 13 losses on his record, but he's fought some solid competition. At one point, fought Yair Rodriguez, also fought, I believe, Uriah Faber. And granted, that was a long, long time ago, but still wiry frame, tough to land on. Can get in and get out, has solid footwork, and is able to move around the octagon well. That speaks to Caceres' longevity in the UFC, is his ability to evade power strikes. But that also speaks to him not totally committing on some of his punches and kicks. He tends to also lean back when he's throwing some of his strikes. Caceres doesn't have many knockout finishes. He is a threat to land a submission. Now, Erosa, one of my pet peeves about him is he will not move his head. We watched the Peterson fight, was getting caught with the overhand right hand time and time again. But when he makes subtle adjustments, which he's shown he's capable of at times against Dawadu and others, Jourdain, Woodson, once it's time to turn up, if he's not knocked out, it's really hard to get Erosa out of there. We've seen against Landwehr and others, these are tough guys who will go for it. Erosa can really shine. He's got solid wrestling when he needs it. He has some solid jiu-jitsu. He's very long for the division. Both of these fighters extremely long. Now, I think Caceres is going to wait for Erosa to come at him, and Erosa's already said that he's going to walk forward and try to break Caceres. So, and I believe he's a man of his word. Erosa will likely march forward. Caceres should be landing while Erosa is coming in, but I don't expect that to be the totality of the fight. I think that Erosa is going to really track Caceres down and force a firefight here, and I believe that Erosa's cardio is going to be on display. Also, as I mentioned previously, if Erosa isn't knocked out, then he's typically winning fights. People mentioned the Pimblett fight. There have been other bouts. The only problem here is if Erosa does not move his head and is getting constantly peppered by Caceres, who is still not committing to his strikes but staying evasive, and Erosa can't track him down. That's a possibility here, but I'll be picking Erosa to win. I think that he has more paths to victory, has the better cardio, and he's the overall better fighter at this stage in his career, the younger fighter with many more victories to speak of. And the arrows pointed up for Erosa. Also, how about that win over Dawadu? I mean, we have to put some stock into that as well. But this isn't a fighter who's developing and is coming into his own. We've seen that if Erosa is out there and performing and he's not knocked out, he can win fights. So give me Julian Erosa. Next up, where we have Amir Albazi taking on Alessandro Costa. Alessandro Costa coming in as a plus 315 underdog. And he's taking this fight on short notice against Amir Albazi, who's been looking very solid out there. Granted, look at the competition he's faced. Francisco Figueiredo. I know that he's shown from what we've seen, he has the goods, but let's see him step up and face some serious competition at this weight class. I know that he originally was scheduled on this card to fight Alex Perez. I wish that fight came to fruition. I would have loved to see that play out. This spot, Amir Albazi doesn't make massive mistakes. Alessandro Costa, when I watched his regional tape, there were a few spots where he was getting caught on the bottom for significant stretches, and he looked like I don't like to see fighters who end up on their backs for a long time in fights, and Costa has shown that he can lose position at times. I'm not sold on him, especially on short notice here against a sturdy flyweight. I'll be picking Albazi. It's a question, though, can he get this done inside the distance? I don't want to go out of my way and play a minus 425 on a fight where you're giving a submission artist and also somebody who can throw hands, Costa, a shot here. I'll be picking Albazi to win, though. He's going to be the pick. Next up, wow, co-main event of the evening, where we have Damir Ismagulov taking on Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan, minus 195 at the betting window. I wanted to make sure that both fighters made weight here, and both did. Ismagulov had run into an issue a few fight camps ago where he missed weight by a massive margin. And I believe they pulled him from the card. And Arman Tsarukyan, I believe against Matt Frivola, he missed weight. Coffee's great this morning. Arman Tsarukyan is a force to be reckoned with. And Damir Ismagulov is one slick bastard, man. He's a very slick fighter. We banked and cashed on him last time out against Kutaladze. And in this fight, Tsarukyan is going to have to force action. He's going to have to be throwing that power kick from the outside and then getting inside and using his physicality. Otherwise, Ismagulov is going to start getting off on his jab. We know Ismagulov, I tweeted out the win streak that he's been on. It's incredible. And also that he's doing this against winning fighters, against legitimate competition. So Ismagulov is a solid lightweight, somebody who I've trusted with my money in the past. The challenge is here is he's fighting somebody who is not only on the up and up, coming off of a defeat where I believe he won his last fight, even though the judges scored it against him. And I believe that lessons were learned here. And you could not only hear it in his voice, but I think we'll see it in his performance this evening. Somebody who I believe is one of the best fighters in the lightweight division. And he spoke. He said, how am I supposed to, if I can't beat Damir Ismagulov, how am I supposed to proclaim myself as a top 5 lightweight? Ismagulov, slick boxing, great counter wrestling. We don't see a lot of offensive wrestling from him. He's got great defensive wrestling. It's going to be put to the test here against Tsarukyan, who he doesn't have the best hands, Tsarukyan, but I don't think he's going to need them as much here. I think this fight is going to hit the mat early and often. I think we're going to see mat returns here. I think we'll see a bunch of scrambles. And for folks who love grappling, this should be a great fight. Ismagulov is going to need to stay at range, and that is how he will get up on the scorecards according to the judges if things go his way. But I'll be honest, I don't think they are going to go his way. I was tweeting out that I'm always a bit leery of fading fighters who are on tremendous win streaks against legitimate competition. And Damir Ismagulov is one of those fighters. But Arman Tsarukyan, I believe, does have the goods here, and his explosiveness, his wrestling, the power wrestling of Arman Tsarukyan is going to be put not only to the test, but I think that's going to be the difference maker here. And also the cardio, too. We've seen Ismagulov barely cross the finish line in a few fights. He's been hurt very badly in a few fights. And the way he has his tendencies on the feet, I don't want to say he's shelling up, but the way he squints with his eyes during the fights and how he handles being on the defensive side, I have concerns. Now, does this fight go the distance? It could. We've seen against Joel Alvarez. I know they're completely different fighters, Damir Ismagulov and Joel Alvarez, but Tsarukyan, I believe he does have not only the power but the ferociousness to end a fight. So I'm not going out of my way to play overs in this spot, but I'll be picking Tsarukyan to win, and I think that this is going to be a great fight. Wow, the sun is shining. Yes, I do believe Tsarukyan. I think that there are some situations where the result of the fight lights a fire under someone, and I believe that is the case and was the case there. We've got the sun shining. It is Saturday morning. We are blessed to be here talking about UFC Vegas 66. Thank you for everybody who's tuning in today. Everybody's pouring in. This is great. Let's talk about the main event of the evening, Jared Cannonier against Sean Strickland. It has taken just about everything within myself not to bet Sean Strickland right now. I want to pull the trigger on him. I believe that that the odds right now are in a spot where I'm not going to say Sean Strickland's being disrespected, because he's kind of disrespected himself by the performance against Pereira. Somebody who just walked forward trying to parry punches against a explosive power striker. And we saw Strickland got his block knocked off. Cannonier he knows exactly what's coming. We see Sean Strickland does not deviate much from the game plan. Strickland has solid cardio, he's willing to put himself at risk to give himself a chance to win fights. And also his counter grappling is on display. Cannonier is not going to come in here and try to ground Sean Strickland and put on a grappling performance. Strickland, it's up to him how he wants this fight to go. Now, Cannonier has great. I remember being at Cannonier's fight against Branch a few years ago, where Branch was able to take him down time and time again, and Cannonier just kept popping back up. We even saw against Brunson, kept popping back up. So I believe that this fight is going to take place on the feet. I think Strickland's jab is going to be effective here. Yes, I do believe Cannonier has the ability to finish Sean Strickland. I also think that the leg kicks could potentially be a factor. Strickland plodding forward, basically being there to be had by Cannonier, leaves Cannonier and his team to formulate a successful game plan here. But at what cost? And here's the thing. I think that Cannonier could potentially end up throwing a lot of volume and gassing himself out the longer this fight goes, because Strickland's going to stand right there in front of him. And it's just a matter of, can Sean Strickland's body hold up to a point where his legs don't give out and he doesn't get knocked out? Because if that happens, if that doesn't happen and Strickland's still there, then he's going to be landing a lot of jabs on Cannonier. And it would not surprise me to see Cannonier bloodied up third, fourth, possibly fifth round, and Strickland starting to pour it on him here. Cannonier, 38 years of age, so it's not like he's a spring chicken, going to be 39 soon. I have a deep appreciation for Cannonier's wholesome interviews, brutally honest, somebody who is his own, he's his own harshest critic, and he's willing to admit when he makes mistakes too. Listen to his recent interview talking about the Adesanya fight. He's coming off of a title fight, and he gave himself an honest assessment, and he was willing to share it with the media too. So This is a very, very close fight to end the year. And Sean Strickland, I will say this, that for as solid as he is, he can also be his own worst enemy out there. And that is a cause for concern. So his decision-making ability is questionable. I'm a fan of Strickland. I backed him against Hermansson, against Uriah Hall and others. And I'll be picking Sean Strickland to win here. But Cannonier is extremely live, and I understand why he's lined at as the favorite right now. If Sean Strickland's body holds up, then I see him winning this fight if it goes to decision. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's why they have these fights. Want to thank everybody for tuning in today on this final fight card of 2022. You can check my my work at MMAOddsbreaker and MMAOddsbreaker Premium, my third-party track record over at betmma.tips. I've been tracked for many years, trying to put our best foot forward every time out. This is they say this is a long-term game, but we want to win every card, every event we play. And believe I'm shooting for my 32nd or 33rd winning event of the year so far. So, and only, I believe, 15 losses on the year, 15 losing events. But it's an exciting time. 2023 is right around the corner. Have a great rest of your day. And go get what's yours, my brothers. Let's do this.